Hello, beautiful, brilliant Black women, God is born. I hope you're doing well. And girl, Saturday. Okay, it doesn't make any difference, right? It's not in my world, right? I'm so glad you're here. Let's do a little reading together. Today we're going to be talking about just as deadly. Now, you will notice that this is an unfuckable with session. That's right. So, masterclass time, girl. Welcome, Black women. Let's get some knowledge. If you look, you will see. Where's my finger? I can't find it. Okay, at the top row there are several books. Top, bottom, and middle. Okay, all great books, all things that we need to know. We all know I'm big into study as a goddess born warrior and healer. As a warrior, I also have to be a scholar, right? So I have to understand myself as well as family, friends, and enemies. Yeah, hmm yeah. So we're going to be talking about just as deadly today, because I want to clear up some misconceptions and follow up on the last video that I did. Okay, let's get into it, girl. I'm gonna do some reading for you. I actually reviewed Just as Deadly on Amazon, and I want to read you what I wrote. Okay, let's get into it. Now, the woman who wrote the book, Just as Deadly, is a white woman, or like I like to call them, bitch. No, okay, I gotta stop. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Legion, Crossroad Demon, okay? And I want to point out some things for you as Black women, but I also want to remind us that we have been conditioned and programmed as Black women to accept suffering, okay? And to actually embrace it and become addicted to it. And then we've also been conditioned that we are supposed to call people good, kind, and nice when their behavior is anything but. So, this is another one of those spaces in which I want us to remember that we need to listen to people's behaviors, not what they're saying, except for how does what they're saying match up with their actual behavioral patterns, okay? And Crossroad Demons Legion, white women have a actual long history of badass behavioral patterns, specifically towards us as Black women, Black girls, Indigenous women, Indigenous girls, the LGBTQ community, and our children. Okay, so let's get into it. This is my review of the book Just as Deadly. One of the first glaring misrepresentations is the authors agreeing with the FBI findings that most women in the US who are serial killers because of either financial gain and or often experience trauma in childhood. I've studied this subject matter as it relates to white women being, according to the FBI, at least 62% of the female serial killers in the United States. Now, note, the first group of women the FBI provides stats on, though, is Black women as serial killers, who they state are 20% of all the females who are serial killers in the United States. Okay. So I'm not sure why we put Black women at the top of this list when there is three times as many, even according to them, of white women who are serial killers that they know of, okay, or that they admit to. The author of the book, Just as Deadly, again, a white woman, goes on to state that when pressed on who she believes is the most heinous female serial killer, she names Patty Lucretia Cannon. Then the author states the following, and this is in quotes: Patty Cannon was black, and scholars contend that her ethnicity and gender prevented suspicion that she was engaging in these crimes. First of all, end quote. First of all, every physical rendering of Patty Cannon is obviously a white woman. Second, why does no newspaper coverage of the time describe her as the N word? Hmm? Or black? The author states that scholars contend that her ethnicity and gender prevented suspicion that she was engaging in crimes. So I want y'all to take a look at who this white author, who's supposedly a researcher now. She's a psychology researcher according to her, and she wrote some things that had to do with Lucy Ledbetter, that crossroad demon that was killing all those babies. And nobody believed the people of color who worked with her and said, why are the babies only dying when she here? But anyway, I digress. So the top is stop. The top is Lucy Ledbetter, but the two bottom pictures, renderings, artist renderings that you see is Patty Cannon. That is a white woman. So why this author is calling her a black woman, I don't know, but okay. So I can assure the author that if Patty was a black woman at any time in the US history, her ethnicity would mark her as not only suspicious, but considered not even considered a human or a woman, especially in that time. Because this was in the late 1700s to the early 1800s. Just a bit of research on the author's part of history, she would find that the black slave, whether the person was black or free, I mean, a slave or free, there were black codes codified into law, and this would have informed her that only white women were considered pure, sainted, and above suspicion of such heinous acts as what Patty carried out. Others of the time and historians, which granted this author is not a historian, describe Patty as believing that black people were beasts to be harnessed. Some historians stated that one of the black women and her child that Patty murdered was impregnated by one of Patty's male family members, and it infuriated her. At least she thought that the baby was a mixed black child. So, whether hearsay or not, a common practice of white women enslavers in the US was to torture black women who were raped by their white husbands, sons, or white male family members, and murder or selling off of those mixed black children. White women were 40% of the US enslavers in their own right by law. Read, they were her property, got it up there, and the half that's never been told. The practice of white women enslavers' heinous torture and murder of black mixed children was so prevalent that a law was written in the late 1600s to hold them blameless in that the death of an enslaved black person as a result of a white owner's correction through punishment of them wasn't considered murder or wrong. It was considered morally correct. So the question is, why would this white woman who claims to be a researcher not, why would she even mention or try to convince us that the most heinous serial killer that ever lived in the United States was a black woman named Patty Cannon when the woman was obviously a white woman? And that we have them as monsters around us all the time.